What's up, everybody? Jed Johnson here from DieselCrew.com. Of course, you know they call me Napalm. Coming at you with another video in the 31 days of Q&A. If you've got something you'd like to ask to be covered here, then get on my newsletter list. Trying to grow that puppy. I'm only taking questions from people on my newsletter list. So go to DieselCrew.com and sign up, or you can email me at jed.diesel@gmail.com. Tell me what your interests are, and I'll get you on the appropriate mailing list. All right, this question is going to be pretty fun. It's a little bit different from the other questions that I've covered. Josh Culpepper, who happens to be one of my coaching clients, one of my virtual coaching clients, wrote in, and he wants to know what I feel would be a ranking of difficulty for the following grip strength feats. So it's Iron Mine Red Nail, number 3, and I'm going to say with a parallel set, inch dumbbell deadlift, blob deadlift, and then pinching 235s and 245s. So 6 feats. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to list these by difficulty of what I found to be the most challenging. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get this thing started. So it's red nail, number 3 to parallel set, inch dumbbell, blob, 235s, 245s. The easiest one for me by far was, believe it or not, the blob, lifting the blob. The first day I saw the blob, I picked it up and walked with it. It took me, I don't know, I think probably 3 attempts. So the first one, nothing happened because my hand wasn't really ready. Second one, I broke it off the ground pretty good. Third one, picked it right up, took like 3 or 4 steps with it. That was in the Olive Garden parking lot up in Elmira, New York with Smitty and Rick Walker. That was pretty cool. And I bought that blob from Rick for $40. Thank you, Rick. The next one on the list, I would say it would be the number 3 at a parallel set. Now, if you want to talk about credit card set, then that's probably going to be at the end of the list. But when I first started, I was doing a tremendous amount of grippers, and I got that pretty quick. I would say, I don't know. It took me about a year to do it, I think. So, like, I got grippers 1 year. I got the 2 and I got the 3. I closed the 2 almost right away. And then I closed the 3 shortly after that, maybe in March. I think I was closing the 3. But if you look at it, I was working with grippers a long time before that. So I got those grippers and closed them, but I had already been training with grippers. So I'm going to say it took me about a year of training. A lot of it was ineffective training, guys. I did not know the set for a long time, and I was dealing with a lot of tendonitis, so it took me a lot longer than it should have. These days, a person of the strength that I had back then and the hand size that I have probably ought to be able to close the 3 in like 2 or 3 months. It's very dependent upon technique, training methods, and but it's especially the technique. Next, I would say on the order of difficulty was 235s. I think I first lifted those in 2004 during the winter, if I remember correctly. And part of the reason that took so long was because the 35s that I had to work with were very, very slick. The nice thing about them was they had a real sweet bevel on the edge, so it wasn't slicing me and dicing me all the time. Next would be 245s. This took quite a while. It was probably two years of me doing consistent grip training. And I think part of the reason that it took me so long was because I didn't do a lot of specific work on 245s. So I didn't really need to do 245s for any reason. And then I think eventually it was coming up in a medley in a contest, so I had to be ready for it. Or I just started training it real hard. But once I started training it consistently, they came up pretty quick. That was, I think, August of 2004. I still have the video on an old desktop computer. Shortly after that, I also got the red nail. So that's number 5 on the list. So it goes blob, number 3 to parallel, 35s, 45s. Then I stick the red nail in there. Let's see, that took me it was probably a year and a half, 2 years to do. Now, what you have to realize is these days, everybody knows how or what wraps to use. When I started, we were wrapping in bath towels, bank bags, stuff like that. I was bending with baseball batting gloves on because it was hurting my hands so bad. I was dealing with a tremendous amount of tendonitis in my elbow areas, high forearm areas. So it took a lot longer than it should. But these days there's more information out there. There's better knowledge. I have resources available that people buy, and then they bend the red nail within like 2 months. It's it really helps out. I lost count a long time ago how many people that I've helped with my nail bending ebook, which came out in 2005, to bend the red nail, and then also to certify on the red nail. Now, if you want to throw in there when I got certified, I didn't get certified till 2007. I first bent it in 2004. I just didn't care about the certification. It wasn't something that was on my priority list. So that took a little bit longer because I just didn't put any time in on it. But I would say the hardest feat out of all these for me was the inch dumbbell. And I would say there is a caveat to that, but I would say that, from the time that I started training grip as a special interest, as a hobby, as a pastime, I always wanted to lift the inch dumbbell. So I started in 2002. I first tried the inch in September of 2003. Could not get it off the ground. I continued to train using my own methods, primarily a homemade thick handle, plate loadable dumbbell, which is what I suggest everybody use to train for the inch dumbbell if you don't have an inch, is a plate loadable thick handle dumbbell. And then in September of 2004, I was able to buy Rick Walker's inch dumbbell. And then by November, if I remember correctly, I was lifting it. Now, wait, I think I'm off. I think I bought it in November of 2004 and then lifted it in January of 2005. I think that's how it worked out. So on that list, as far as the time that I was training, the inch dumbbell comes up as the most difficult for me. But if you think about it, the caveat that I mentioned earlier, as soon as I got the inch, I was able to train on the inch. I was able to really accelerate my ability to lift it just in like a 2-month window just by having the inch. So if you want the inch, you can get it through me. You can message me. We can line that up. That's the absolute best way to train for the inch, is to own an inch. If it's not in the cards for you to actually buy an inch, then you want to use a plate loadable dumbbell, and I've talked about that here on the YouTube channel before. So what would you say? I'm interested in what you would say is the order of difficulty. So for me, it was 50-pound York blob. That was a next gen blob. Number 3 to parallel, 2 35s pinch, 2 45s pinch, red nail bend to 2 inches or less on the crush down, and then the inch dumbbell deadlift. That's my list, but I want to know what you think now. So go down into the comments section, leave your comment, let me know what you think the order would be. Really especially interested in hearing from people who have done all these feats, but also people that are working on them right now. Where would you put them? Give this video one of these. Be sure to subscribe and get on my email newsletter at dieselcrew.com, or hit me up with an email, jed.diesel@gmail.com, and I'll get you on a list and then reply to one of my emails with a question, and I'll answer your question here on the YouTube channel. Thanks a lot. All the best in your training. Take care.